Back to Supercharge Fridays. How are you? It's 116 weeks of live streaming. I want to start with gratitude. Grateful you're here. Grateful I'm here. Grateful for the technology that we can hang out every single Friday for 116 weeks. How awesome is that? So grateful for, yeah, the city and the country I live in. We are living in peace because not every country is going through peaceful times, right? So along with gratitude, it's also helping. So see what you can do to help someone, make someone's day better, because not everyone is in a good place today. Now listen, speaking of being in a good place, my next guest and I, G, we connected maybe a year and a half ago, and it was through this technology. It was through live streaming on LinkedIn, and now we've become fast friends, and I can't wait to bring her on. This is her second time here on Supercharge Fridays. I want to say the first time she came on, it was a challenging period for me. I'd gone through a fracture and multiple sort of health challenges, and I was like, come on, let's do this together. Let's help folks out, particularly from an HR point of view, if people need help. So we're going to do that today. It's two girls chatting from HR. The difference this time is G wants to talk about a few things that bug her a little bit on LinkedIn about certain behaviors. And I'm not saying, hey, listen to G. And if you don't listen to G, you're doing something wrong. It's not about that. I think her perspective is interesting. And let's see how we learn from her together on a few things that maybe think about before you do them on LinkedIn. So without further ado, welcome back, G.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Well, morning here in Texas, USA, I should say. So I adore you. You know that I'm thrilled to be here. So yay. Thank you for the intro.
Happy to have you here. Happy to have you back. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Always appreciate you coming in. And let's get cracking. Without further ado, we've got lovely folks joining us from around the world. Guys, connect with each other. When I say connect, sort of see what the other person is doing. Don't send a blank connection request. This is not how I teach things on Supercharge Fridays. Write a little note. If something they write resonates with you, that is the way to grow, right? You don't just sort of blank like, hey, nice to meet you. This is my business. Why don't you buy from me? We don't do that, right? Or I need a job. We don't do that. And I know maybe that's one of the things we're going to talk about. So, G, before we get started, a quick 30-second intro. I'm timing you. Tell us, in case somebody's not familiar with you or your work.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. I'm G. So forgive the long name. Just call me G for the sake of the exercise. But I'm here. I'm actually an HR professional by trade and doing somewhat of a pivot, working on personal branding because we are trying to establish, who we are, what our value adds are to the masses. So part of what I do in addition to HR practices, of course, recruiting and onboarding and all that delightful stuff, is I was recently UMAP certified. So relating to Clifton Strengths. Please check out my profile for more information, but jack of all trades right now. So I wish I could say I'm XYZ expert in one specific niche, because I know there's a lot of chatter about that as well. That's not me in this very moment, but I can do many different things. And again, as I said, still working through that, but HR professional by trade. And as a recruiter and candidate, have a lot of insights. So
Perfect, fantastic. So please follow G. I've put in her profile right here in the banner. And obviously, if you're on LinkedIn, you just have to go to her profile and click follow anyway. Thank you guys for joining. You guys are awesome. And I know that for all our Muslim friends, if you're fasting around, Ramadan Kareem, it's an important month for you guys. And folks from around the world. Bonjour, Jean-Luc. Fantastic. So let's get cracking, G. We are talking about something, and the topic we're talking about actually comes from you. And there was a trigger behind this. Walk us through what made you think about 5 not to do's on LinkedIn. What started the process?
absolutely. So for me personally, and again, my point of view, I've been on LinkedIn now since 2008. And you couldn't really tell that based on my number per se. So the reason I say that is this. I have, oh gosh, maybe now around 3,600 followers, and a fraction of those are actual connections. I'm very intentional, very strategic with whom I connect. And I'm not even going to get into the, personalize your invites to people spiel, because I feel I get on that rant, and I know Sonal talks about that as well. So that's not really the entire purpose of today's chat. What I do want to talk about, though, are 5 things specifically that kind of noticed recently and wanted to share with you a little bit of, because I'm big into rhymes, I call them peeves and please. So pet peeves and please. So let's take the negative and spin it into a positive, as any
Oh, I
recruiter would
love
say
rhymes
in an
as well.
interview.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I'm not here to
Peas
rant.
and peas.
I'm just here to share some perspective and to
Peas and
offer
peas.
some
Okay,
suggestions.
fantastic. So we're going to talk about 5 peas and peas. No, not peas as in eating. Peeves
Peeves,
and peas.
pet peeves, and please, please do these.
We're going to talk about these and bring in questions if you have any. We're not gurus or experts or my favorite one, influence. No, no, we're just people who are practitioners who for whom LinkedIn is important, right? So we're going to get G's point of view. It is not the only point of view, and I also see some fantastic people, like follow Ken Lang. If you've never seen his profile before, follow him. If Ken is a huge proponent for showing up as yourself on LinkedIn. Hey, Melissa. So we're going to get cracking without further ado. G, what, let's start with the bad, like the worst, like your least favorite. Let's start with pet peeve number 1.
Oh my gosh. One thing, so going back to the invites in general, one thing that you want to keep in mind when you broadcast to people to please connect. For example, if I'm saying to you today, oh my gosh, everybody, please connect with me, and you send a personalized invite and I ignore you, that's a no-no. And I've seen that happen a lot. So for instance, if I'm tuning into live chats, or if I'm watching people in chat or say, please connect with me, please connect with me, and you go to them and you say, hey, I'd love to connect with you based on XYZ, and you ignore them, that's not good for your brand. It makes it appear that you don't want to invite them in. Conversely, opposite of what you had shared. So if you think about it, it's like inviting people into your home for a party. You go knocking on the door, hello, hello, and no one answers the door. It's like, but you invited me and you're not there. So what
How
gives that?
rude.
It's very rude. So
Yeah.
when you do want people to truly connect with you, make that intention known and be responsive. Don't wait for several weeks. Just reach back out and say thank you for the connection. Keep it simple. That's all you need to do.
Okay, so this is actually a lot more nuanced, G, than I expected. So I want to make sure I have understood it so that our audience as well has understood it the way you taught it.
Sure.
What you're saying is, if we tell the world, yeah, on a post, something you write, hey, do connect with me, and people are like, oh, she said connect with me, so she meant it. I will send a connection request. What the connection request look like, blank, full, doesn't matter, because the person said connect with me. So if you say connect with me and you do not accept a connection request, you are inviting people to your house. They came, maybe they brought a bottle of wine, but you didn't open the door. So you're not a very nice person if you do that. So what is a way, G, for them to fix this?
For the person who is inviting people to their home, as I said, it's just a way of saying, okay, great, I'm going to accept your invites within a few days at the most. So if people are reaching out to you to invite, generic or otherwise, again, some people are not opposed to generic invites. I personally, I'll use today as an example. If you would love to connect with me, you think, hey, you know what? G puts out good content. Hey, I saw her on Sonal's show. If you reached out to me with a personalized invite, I may accidentally overlook it. But I'm saying to you, I prefer, if you're going to connect with me, everybody who's watching, I'm happy to, but just remind me in a quick generic invite, or I'm sorry, not generic invite, in your invite that you met me here today, and I'll accept it. Thank you so much. My point is, if I'm telling you, world, come to me, and I ignore that, that's the issue. So just be sure.
Yeah.
And the reason I say this is because it's happened a couple of times recently when people with large followings have put that out there to the masses, connect with me, connect with me. Let's have the conversation, everybody, come connect with me. And I have sent very intentional invites. Yay, happy to connect. And I get ignored, and I've waited weeks. That basically says to me that they don't want that So just be intentional and strategic when you do put those asks out there. So
All
a
right.
little
Okay.
convoluted, but I hopefully the message is getting
Hopefully
across.
the message makes sense, right? So when you say connect with me, please mean it, right? And if you
Absolutely.
didn't mean it, then you can say please follow me. I think you're safe with that. You can't go wrong with that. I'm just noticing here somewhere interesting. No, not interesting. It's actually really annoying. There's people saying that they're having problems with LinkedIn. Hey, Risto, thanks for joining on YouTube, because I don't really understand what's going on, because I do see comments coming on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is just sometimes just glitchy. So I apologize for the experience, and hopefully and going back to the point, right? What you just shared, I believe capacity is a challenge. Sure, sure. Which is why you want to be more intentional and take your time. And if you don't want to accept, because I get connection requests every day, like all of us, right? And if there is no message, I tend to be more careful, and I see I have to. There's a limit, because you can have a certain limit that's 30,000, which is I think insane. But yeah, there are people who are connected and they've never posted something, or I don't understand why they want to connect with me. If there is a limit, obviously I have to be careful. I've talked about this so much on YouTube and LinkedIn, and it's important that people get that. You get so many connection requests. Yeah, Sarah, so many people will refuse a connection request. Like, I don't understand it. It's nothing against the person, but it's very easy to fix. You can always go back 3 weeks later and send a connection request, like you really want to connect, right? But this isn't, we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about it from the other point of view. When we say to people, connect with me, then actually accept the request, right? G, that's what we're talking about.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you want more clarification, feel free to send me an invite and say that you'd like to talk about it further offline. So
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
Here's a recommendation from Gunjan. Hey, just refresh the page, folks. I'm sorry if you're having issues here. And G, let's talk about pet peeve number 2.
Okay. So now this is important. Whether you're connected or not, I feel strongly that DMing someone asking for a job, especially if you don't know the person, is not cool. And I'm going to guess that you'll agree with me on this one, Sonal. But when you get DMs, and I'm saying this to you, I'm assuming that you get a lot of people saying, I need a job, help me, despite the fact that you, Sonal, help the masses. I mean, you've got this incredible YouTube following. You have all of these resources. Yet I'm sure you get those spammy DMs and requests. I need to get a job. How do I get a job? Well, lately I've noticed, and this is for me within the past, gosh, I want to say 4 or 5 days alone, I've received 5 DMs from people I don't even know, just asking for work. Hey, I'm so and so, I'm in this field. Can you help me get a job? I don't know where those are coming from. I don't know why I'm getting them. But then even in addition to those, I'm getting from other people immediately if I do accept a connection request. I've noticed too that I do get people reaching out to say, thanks for connecting, I want you to help me get a job, or what do you think of this or that? And this actually ties into my number 3 peeve of endorsements. Like immediately
Yeah. Yeah. Just
after
one sec. Okay, 1 second. I'm gonna pause you here for a second, because
yes.
you're fast, a little fast for us. I want to make sure this
Sorry.
one is hitting home. Cold DM, cold direct message. I don't know you, but I need your help. Listen, this one, I've been on a journey on this one. I've never been one of those people. However, I also know that it's a little bit easier. Hey, Sonal, I'm reaching out to you because my friend Ankita suggested I follow you. There's a little difference there. However,
Absolutely.
okay, hold on. I was working on a document on how to cold DM someone when you don't know them and you want their help. I'm working on a very simple sort of script, and I'm going to be launching it this weekend. Um, People who reach out and ask for help at the very first time, they are usually, not always, they're usually quite desperate, right? Like nothing else is working and I need your help. There is no judgment here, right? We're not saying you're a bad person, but you've got to put on your empathy hat on. When a stranger reaches out to you out of the blue from the street and they ask you for a huge favor, huge favor, small favor, whatever, we do our best to help, right? So see firstly what this person does for a living. I would say just the bare minimum, right? So if you want to reach out to me and have me look at your resume, I get this a lot. There is a whole playlist on YouTube. So similarly, when do you have a job? I don't have a company, right? So I don't hire people. So don't take the lazy route. I want to emphasize this because this is a huge no-no. Some people, I like me, I'm like, I'll ignore it. It's okay, no big deal. Some people are less forgiving. They'll block you or whatever. And it's an opportunity which is missed. We don't want you to do that. So there is a right way to do things. And what you just said about cold DMG, I can't stress this enough. And this is not a one culture that they do it. No, it's in every culture. And particularly when you're going through a tough time, we get it. But there is a nicer way to do it, and there is a less, there's a more sleazy way to do it. So don't follow for that. Don't fall
And
for
thank
that.
you for
Yeah.
articulating that. Yes, exactly. That was my pleas. Like there, thank you for whatever it is you're going to be communicating. I know you said that you're putting something together, possibly for the weekend. And it's very true. I mean, there is a nicer way to do it. And that's exactly where I was going with that in my next point. To
Yeah.
be more
And that
intentional.
is exactly, Sarah, that's your question, and that's the thing that hopefully I've answered. There's a little bit of a time lag. And number 3, G, you talked about endorsements.
Yes, endorsements for skills. So now this is different from recommendations. And I know that there's still some confusion out there. And please do chime in any moment, Sonal. There's some confusion as to recommendations versus endorsements. So I know, and I don't know a lot about it, and I don't know if he's in chat by chance, but Kevin Turner, for example, just recently did a post on, I guess, some changes with LinkedIn and how the emphasis is going more toward skills and updating your skills and needing to really hone in on what your skill set is. And I don't know the ins and outs of that. So if hopefully he's watching today, and if so, he can sound into this. But if not, he did a post recently on this very topic. Now, skills are, unfortunately, they're more or less toward the bottom of your profile. And many times what people do with them is you'll update your skills, and then you'll reach out to people and say, can you endorse me for XYZ skill?
Yeah.
Right. So with skills, they can feed into, especially for job seekers, they can feed into when recruiters are doing searches on LinkedIn. And please, like I said, and so now please, you're better versed at this than I am. But when recruiters go in to do a search, if you're highly skilled in any one particular skill set, you're going to pop up sooner than maybe others would. Now, with that said, skills are very important, and having people endorse you for them is important. What I don't necessarily agree with, and where I would challenge people, is especially immediately upon connecting, reaching out to people and saying, hey, can you please endorse me for 10 skills? And oh,
Yeah.
by the way, I'll do the same for you in turn.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not necessarily the way to go with skills. So I don't know if you have anything to
Yeah.
sound into that.
Do you,
Otherwise,
I do have opinions on this. G, what do you recommend instead?
well, first of all, don't do it immediately after connecting. That's
Yeah.
rule number one.
Yeah.
So number 2, I would say reach out to the person. Do not send them in lump sum, but if there is something specific, if you know the person, if you've worked with them, be more intentional in asking for those, along with recommendations, which is separate, of course, from the skill set. But endorsing one for skills and just saying, hey, I need 20 endorsements on 20 skills. Can you do this? Feels a little icky. So instead, you can even put together a message saying why. If you don't include that, be sure to include the why behind it, and be prepared for the fact that they may not be able to endorse you. I will give a
Yeah.
quick example. Recently, I was asked by someone in my network whom I don't know very well to endorse them for 15 skills. I don't even get those kind of requests from people I do know, let alone 15. I get 1 or 2, and I know there's endorsement parties and people want to reciprocate. And I do understand that to some extent. But when someone endorses you, or I'm sorry, I apologize. When someone sends you a message and says, endorse me for these, I
Yeah.
would really appreciate it, and I'll do the same for you. If you don't know them well enough to truly be able to attest to their work, that's a question mark. And don't be afraid to bounce back and say, hey, I'm not comfortable with that. I hope you understand. And
Yeah.
what else can we do in the meantime, or how else might I be able to support you?
Beautiful. I love this. This is so important. And Sarah, you're saying it's better when they're in your niche, right? Hold on. Let's backtrack for a second. First of all, endorsements and recommendations. Okay. I know that recommendations carry a little bit more weight because when people want to hire you, they will read it. Endorsements, your dog, your mom, your grandma, anyone can endorse. And LinkedIn knows that. So there is not huge weight on endorsements. So don't get hung up on endorsements because recommendations are more transparent. People can see who recommended you. Now, going back to what you said, why would you ask someone to endorse you if they don't know you? You are shooting yourself in the foot so badly that the person is going to have a bad impression. You're going to say, I don't care. Well, please care because your reputation is everything, right? I get this a lot, G, and I get my favorite thing to do, by the way. I did that last night. Is like, oh, feeling so grateful today. I'm feeling so good today. What do I do? I'll go to someone's profile and I like their work. I'll just gonna endorse them. Like they're gonna get 20 notifications from me. They're like, what the heck? She's stalking me. Yeah, I want to pass on the love and pass on the gratitude. And same with recommendation. However, when you ask someone out of the blue and they don't know who you are, right? What my response is, hey, thanks for reaching out. I'm afraid I don't quite know how to begin. What would you have me talk about? Right. And then the person is like blubbering, like, actually, can you recommend me or can you give me an endorsement? I'm like, tell me how I would know your work. You're stumped, right? So do not take the lazy route, right? We get it. Sometimes it's not easy, but there's always the lazy route that you think is a shortcut is actually hurting you really badly. And it's the long cut is not that long, right? Taking time. So really appreciate you sharing that. uh and Claire, thanks for joining. And Erica is here as well in Chicago. You guys are awesome. Jennifer's in New York. Feel free to bring in your recommendations here because you guys are power users of LinkedIn as well. Claire, you know I'm active on YouTube, right? And Jennifer, you know this, there's something called sub for sub. It is so icky as a practice. Anyone with a YouTube channel, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. You subscribe to my channel, I subscribe to your channel. Dude, I don't want to know latest tattoo patterns. I'm not going to because it's going to mess up my algorithm. And what am I going to do with it? So same with endorsements, same with recommendations. This is not what you want, right? So LinkedIn user, I don't know who you are. I really wish I did. Endorse or recommend people you've worked with, right? Even if you hadn't worked with them, but people you see, like G and I haven't worked together, but there has been an interaction. These days, virtual, physical, who knows? It's really different. So appreciate G, and hopefully this summary is helping our folks because G's bringing a point of view, but I'm telling you everything that you're saying, G, so far is coming from a place of truth. So
And,
appreciate that.
And thank you. And again, all of this goes back to intention, folks. It's not just about being spammy. And, in the spirit of reciprocity, again, it's asking, hey, how can I help you? But do not endorse people or do anything on this platform for that matter, immediately expecting something in return. I've actually disconnected from people for that
Yeah.
reason because
Yeah.
immediately after connecting, the very first thing out of their mouth is, or out of their script, if you will, is, can you endorse me for 3 things? I don't know the person. We connected 5 seconds ago. Click. I'm done. So
Yeah.
that's me. That's my POV. That's my point of view.
Yeah.
And everyone on here, again, is going to have a different opinion about that.
Yeah.
But again, these are the things. And thank you, Sonal. I appreciate your feedback. Okay. Do you want me to go on to, let's
Number
see,
4. Yes.
number 4? Okay. And I think you'll agree with this one. Posting
I
and
really
ghosting.
hope I disagree because it's just becoming like two peas in a pod, echo chamber. I really want like a firecracker here. G, come on.
I get so snarky with this. Okay. So I have had a few times recently, even when I've seen people, and again, no names here, right? I've
Yeah.
seen people who have very large followings encourage posting and putting yourselves out there and doing all of these magical things. And they are in turn not practicing what they preach. And that bothers me. I don't know about that. So, for example, if someone insists, do not post and ghost, when I see them posting and ghosting, And I can think of at least 3 people off the top of my head who do this. Repeat offenders, not impressive to me. Um, that's not good. So now, what does posting and ghosting mean? Shall I continue, Sona?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So posting and ghosting is this. As we say, everyone has a different way of posting in terms of timelines and frequency on LinkedIn. Some people want to post every single day. I personally don't. I aim for 2 to 3 times a week
Yeah.
as my schedule allows. And then I really do my best to spend anywhere from
Because
15
I want to
minutes.
just spend 20 seconds here, and the reason 2 to 3 times a week I important for the viewer is because G can sustain it. Start something you can sustain. If it's once a week, if it's once a month, consistency is the king and the queen and the prince and the princess. So yeah, sorry, go on.
No, no, no. That's okay. That's exactly it. So my whole point to that is I do engage daily, but I post only a couple of times a week because I try to plan out exactly when I'm going to do it. I'm strategic. I'm very thoughtful and intentional with my posting because I want to make sure, unless there is some fluke universe incident, that I am there at my computer or on my phone to be able to receive the engaging comments from there. Now, what happens is sometimes people will just throw a post out there and leave it for even a day or two. And I've never understood why people do this. So, yes, and I may lose followers from this. I don't know. I'm not naming names, I'm not saying anything. But then I see other people who are very religious in commenting in response to their posts. One example of someone who is amazing with comments, Jillian Whitney just did her Tuesday show with Danielle Guzman on this very topic about
Yes.
commenting.
Yes.
Yes, comments in anything are important, but especially if you're going to post, be able to sustain that with the follow up. Because
Yes.
otherwise, again, going back to your brand and how you're trying to present yourself to the masses, that
Yes.
stays with you.
Oh
And
yes.
oh, please go ahead.
Go ahead. Please finish what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, where I was going with this though, again, it's the sustainability of it, which is why, do you need to post every day again? That's opinion, not necessarily, but you
Yeah.
do need to be prepared to engage and sustain that traction. So,
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Lots of interesting comments here. I wanna what you just said. It's very relevant, and my friend, our friend Bob in Boston is here. You can't possibly witness all your connections demonstrating their skills. Read their content on LinkedIn, particularly their comments. Comments are gold, and read their profile to make a decision if you want to endorse them or not. Beautiful. It's very important. And I saw somebody write, "Do recruiters see?" Yes, yes, Mr. Mix Shorts, they do. A lot of them do. It's so like it for me. It even replaces background checks sometimes because like I can see who recommended you on LinkedIn. I can see if they're full of ish. Like you can see that, right? So posting and ghosting is so important. If you want to post something, first of all, great. We talk about posting and original content on LinkedIn. We talk about it all the time here on Supercharge Fridays, like a broken record. If you're going to do that, sit your pretty little backside down at least for 20 minutes to half an hour. Just sit down. If you want to go for a walk, go for a walk. But respond to those comments. And G, what you said, there's a lot of famous people here with millions of followers. They don't have time to do it, sure. But they'll have virtual assistants or someone helping them out. And if they don't ever reply or like, by the way, I hate lazy likers who just like your comment and then they're like, I don't like that. The thing is, it becomes very obvious that your LinkedIn is automated. It's on a scheduled software, a scheduler, and it's been automated. Why will I want to engage with a person who's not even read what I've written? Like I spent 10 minutes of my life, making a beautiful comment and posting it to John Smith, and John couldn't be bothered. He's on a party somewhere in Hawaii. So I'm not gonna, I'm unfollowing you, John. Like I'm unfollowing you today. Okay.
and
So, um,
and things happen, right? I mean, again, you may post something and then 20 minutes after you post, family emergency, work emergency, things happen. But the point is, even days later, and this is part of the chat on Tuesday, which, by the way, for anyone watching, if anyone happens to catch this, go back to Jillian Whitney's chat with Daniel
okay.
Guzman from this
Okay,
week.
so
That was
somebody who's kind enough, who knows, I think Varsha, you're here and you're a great friend. If you have 2 seconds, or anyone else, feel free to tag Gillian Whitney and also Kevin D. Turner, because we brought up Kevin's name earlier, so that
Yes.
they know we're talking about them. Beautiful. And Adam's like, what's the point? If you're not gonna respond, it's precisely my point. Drive by. For me, it's the equivalent of, G, you talked about that coming to the house and not letting them in. It's like you let them in, maybe you served them some starters, little tapas, then they open their mouth and you look elsewhere and you pretend they don't exist. I'm not going back to your house. You make me feel like crap. It's the same thing, pretty much same. And we're coming close to the end, G. My goodness, time has flown. Number 5, and I'm going to do a quick recap. What's number
Absolutely.
5?
Yes. Okay, folks, followers and numbers. Do not get caught up in the followers and numbers. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen, even lately, some people have been very vocal about wanting to get to X number of followers by XYZ date. That's great. Now, when you go back to look at that person's content, and by the way, I'm not singling any one person out here. There are several people I've seen do this. But when you go back to that person's content, you look at the engagement. You look at, okay, great. So you want to get to 30,000 followers. What are you doing to get to that number? Are you producing content? Are you engaging with people? Are you supporting? So ask yourself why you want to get to that magic number.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier, and you can see this, I'm very specific and intentional with people I will connect with. And if people want to follow me, great. I look forward to sharing more content as I, again, rebrand and go through what I'm doing. And hopefully that will entice people to want to follow me. But am I necessarily going to connect with every person just to get to 30,000 and then complain about it? No. And I've heard people do that too. And again, it's really nurturing your network. So
Yeah.
yes, the numbers piece is one of my pet peeves. And I know other people feel the same way. I'm very
Yeah.
vocal about these things because I'm very soulful and intentional
Yeah.
and want to make sure that I take care of my network. And again, I want my house to be open, and I want, to invite people that I really want to come to my party and have them bring their friends too. So if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that this is one of the more, I would say, misunderstood concepts about followers. I'm one of those people that used to think I don't care. Um, Followers, sometimes you need to go through quantity and then you get quality. Some people rush and they only want quality, right? I think it goes both ways. However, how has my life really changed between 3,000 to 30,000 followers? It hasn't at all. Maybe perception is a little bit different, but let's be real here. How has it changed in terms of impact? Right? Sure, they're following me, but I'm still showing up, right? It doesn't really matter. It can be 300,000, it can be 3 million. How has your life changed? Do you have more wealth? Do you have more free time? Do you have more impact? You can debate on this. I think this is one of those slightly gray areas, but I don't know. I feel like there's more to it, right? Because there's a very famous story of this woman who was on Instagram. G, I don't know if you've heard of it. She had 3 million followers on Instagram, and then she said she was launching a merchandise and people got excited about it, and she's like, okay guys, I'm so ready, like classic, like young person wanted to be successful. She launched a t-shirt. It was a $25 t-shirt. I don't know, 2 3 million followers. Guess how many bought the t-shirt? 30. I
Not
mean,
a clue.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you got to be very intentional with your time and energy because it's limited, right? So, and I want to quickly highlight here a comment by Saurabh. Saurabh, I'm so sorry when people reach out claiming to be HR. They're not good HR people. If they take your resume and run away, it's the same thing. It's ghosting. And they're doing it via LinkedIn, so you can see their background, etc. Just unfollow them because they're not necessarily practicing good practices, good HR practices. Wow. G, you were going to say something else right now. Did I interrupt you?
I think that was pretty much it. I mean, again, going back to the intentional piece, and someone I just noticed really quickly because I haven't gauged the comments. But hello, everyone. Hello, friends who are here. But I just caught this. So again, someone mentioned the whole I put more faith in someone who has fewer than 500 because of the quality over quantity. And going back to what you were saying, Sonal, it really does come down to, is it converting? Are those numbers converting to
Yeah.
dollars or
Yeah.
relationships. And what does that truly mean, for you? And for me personally, and again, everyone has a different point of view. But for me personally, that's why I feel very strongly about these things. That's why I'm very limited. And
Yeah.
I love to connect with people. I'm not opposed to connecting. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it for the right reasons and supporting for the right reasons. And
Yeah.
it's not a, scratch. What was that? Scratch
Yeah.
your back, I'll scratch. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
sub for sub. No, and also I think there's phases, right? So Facebook, we went through this in 2007. Like so many friends on Facebook, and how many of us went and did some spring cleaning? And I did. I know a lot of us did, simply because Facebook friends means nothing, right? Same with like LinkedIn friends. There has to be a two-way thing. And I saw Claire write, it's called a conversation.
Yay,
Otherwise,
Claire.
it's not a dialogue, it's a monologue, right? We're not talking about a monologue at the Oscars. We're talking about two-way. And if you want a monologue, there are different things. You can do so many different things, but not hang out on LinkedIn. I just think that LinkedIn rewards you more in income impact, right? Let's be clear. LinkedIn is one of the more uh, marketable ways to be seen as opposed to Instagram, TikTok, etc. So I see a comment here. I think this is Terry Gates because I'm not really sure because it's LinkedIn user.
Mhm.
And Risto says I'm more pleased to read 5 comments on my post, than 200 clicks. Who cares, right? It's all about like quality to some extent. And yes, you need to go through quantity, but don't connect with people because you want more followers. It catches up with you. Beautiful. I'm going to do a super quick recap, and please follow G if you haven't already. Follow her first. If you like have this urge and you're like, oh my gosh, she's so awesome. I want to connect with. Okay, that sounded creepy. But if you want to connect with her on LinkedIn, send a personalized connection request why you want to connect, right? And G is awesome. So we talked about pet peeves and please, 5 different things today. When we're starting with number one, G, when you said, if you're going to say connect with me, then mean it. Otherwise, let people know that you want them to follow you, right? Because it's rude.
Absolutely.
Cold DM asking for a favor, whether it's a job, whether it's a resume audit, LinkedIn profile audit, whatever. Don't do that. Take some time. Don't. We all have a classy and a tacky way of showing up. Don't ask for an endorsement. It's similar to point number two, particularly when you don't know people. They have to be people that you know. Don't post and ghost. Don't be that person. Drive by comments. And yes, followers matter. I think it helps with credibility, but it's not the only way, right? So G, if anyone has just like, there's a few people who just catching up now and they've come in a bit later, and you guys highly recommend you follow G and you catch the replay. But to anyone listening today, what is that one thought you want them to walk away with?
Be intentional. Honestly, I
What
can
does
rant
that
all.
mean, G? What does that mean for you?
Okay, so intentional means, again, going back to all of the things that we covered. Why do you want the numbers? Why do you need the endorsements? Why are you stalking people in DMs? Be more thoughtful and strategic with your approach. And remember that there is another person at the end of whatever it is you're sending out there. Stick with your brand. As you grow your brand, there's a lot out there on presenting yourself in the best light. And even today, like I said, I may lose followers over this. That's okay. I may lose connections. That's okay too. But those who really want to learn more about you are going to kind of stick with you in the long haul. So be intentional. Make sure that you cultivate your network. Take care of your people. So that's the point that I would drive home, is just be intentional and strategic with what you do. And because I can't tell you, I mean, again, even recently I had another, someone reach out to me in DM who insisted they wanted to connect with me because they saw that I'm an open networker and I'm great in the engineering space. First of all, I'm not an open networker, but beyond that, I'm not in engineering. So again, things like that, when you get those messages,
Copy
complete turn
paste. Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
People aren't reading. Be sure to look at people's profiles. Be intentional when you connect and make sure that, hey, there's a spirit of wanting to really know the person, because again,
Yeah.
there is a body behind the script. So
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And Adam, I completely agree with you. I also read somewhere this week about ROR versus ROI. And the more you put in, the more you get out. It's so simple, right? You take a lazy route, you're going to get a lazy response as well. So absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, G. This was amazing. Thank you guys for being here today. As always, it really helps to have you guys in the conversation. I see everything's okay on LinkedIn. So definitely follow G here on LinkedIn on all amazing tips. And if you know someone who's looking for an HR consultant, I mean, I mean, she's right here.
And I'll
Take
bring
care of
creativity and
yourselves.
positivity to the mix. So no, and thank you so much for having me, Sonal. And again, hopefully I wasn't too snarky with some of these things, but they're legit. I mean, and it's icky when it happens every day. Just be good to your network. And again, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the relationship. So thank you again for having me.
No, I don't think this was snarky at all. I'm a little disappointed. I
I
think
could have gotten a little snarkier, but I think I did
no,
so.
these are things that need to be said, and
Thank
someone
you.
needs to say them. So I'm glad it was you. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Have a lovely
Bye,
Friday
everyone.
and weekend. Bye.